The Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow, or Epcot, was a concept created by Walt Disney in the 1960s. Its original purpose was to be a community of tomorrow, drawing on the latest technology and innovation from American industry. This experimental community was to be based around futurism and modernism, designed to create better infrastructure than already existing inefficient infrastructure created by the booming urban sprawl of the 1960s.
The most important part of our Florida project, in fact, the heart of everything we'll be doing in Disney World, will be our experimental prototype city of tomorrow. We call it Epcot, spelled E-P-C-O-T, Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow. Here it is in larger scale. Epcot will take its cue from the new ideas and new technologies that are now emerging from the creative centers of American industry. It will be a community of tomorrow that will never be completed, but will always be introducing and testing and demonstrating new materials and new systems. And Epcot will always be a showcase to the world for the ingenuity and imagination of American free enterprise.
The original concept of Epcot was abandoned soon after the death of Walt Disney in 1966. While still owning a massive, undeveloped plot of land near Orlando, Florida, the Walt Disney Company continued on its plan to build the Walt Disney World Resort, which opened in 1971. Although Walt Disney's original plan for Epcot never materialized, many of his concepts were used throughout the new park, such as the use of a monorail for transportation and the utilidor systems. As the popularity of the Magic Kingdom park increased, the Walt Disney Company looked to expand on its Florida project. Although the company did not want to run a city like the original Epcot plans entailed, executives believed a theme park based on technology and human achievement would be able to showcase the futurist ideas Walt Disney had for the original city. The construction of Epcot took the company 3 years to complete, and in the end, the Imagineers working on Epcot decided the park would contain two sections. One section would be the futuristic part that would represent cutting-edge technology, and the other section took inspiration from the World's Fair, where international cultures and customs would be showcased. Epcot officially opened on October 1st, 1982. On opening day, Future World and Epcot contained four main pavilions. The Journey into Imagination Pavilion, which included the Imageworks area and the Magic Eye Theater, which showcased the 3D film Magic Journeys. The Land Pavilion, which housed the Listen to the Land attraction and a restaurant. The Universe of Energy Pavilion, which featured the Universe of Energy film and the Energy Creation film. And finally, the Transportation Pavilion, which featured the attraction World of Motion. World of Motion was an attraction that took guests through the history and achievements of transportation. Guests would board moving omnimover vehicles and would be taken through scenes that contained animatronics and projection effects. The ride would showcase scenes that depicted how transportation has evolved, from showing the invention of the wheel right up to present day and beyond. The finale of the attraction would attempt to predict a future for transportation, showing guests what they'd look like in futuristic vehicles using the Pepper's Ghost illusion technique. At the end of the ride, guests would exit the ride vehicle and enter into the Trans Center, an interactive area about new products in development by the ride sponsor, GM. World of Motion used the popular amusement ride system Omnimover to transport guests through the ride. The attraction was designed by Ward Kimball, and was the only attraction the animator ever worked on. After boarding the ride vehicle, guests would be taken into a U-turn up a portico that was situated directly in the entrance into the building. The Omnimovers would then take riders into a cave, where a caveman and a cave woman could be seen blowing on their hot feet, showcasing the first means of transportation, walking. The ride would then continue to the second scene, where the earliest forms of over-the-water transportation could be seen. A man sleeping on a raft floating while a crocodile lunged at him could be seen. The next scene showcased the first time animal power was used as a form of transportation. This part showcased people trying to take control of camels and zebras, and also featured a man holding a crystal ball flying on a carpet. The next scene took guests to Babylon, where the invention of the wheel was taking place. This scene showed men holding a square object, a triangle object, a pentagonal object, and the award-winning circle object, which won the King's Laughter. Before exiting, riders entered a wheel factory into a part called Trade and Commerce, where it shows many useful ideas using the wheel, such as a rickshaw and a chariot. The next scene would show guests a used chariot dealership, where everything including the Trojan horse was trying to be sold. The next part depicted the age of flight. It started with Leonardo da Vinci and his attempts to fly, and right next to him was a visually upset Mona Lisa. The next scene was a man looking over London in a hot air balloon. The next scene depicted the evolution of steam. This part of the ride started out with a Mississippi riverboat with a never-ending stream of stagecoaches to represent the western expansion. Next, the ride showed guests an authentic steam locomotive and a railroad robbery where a sheriff with a gleaming badge protected the riders on their way to the next scene. The next scenes depicted different activities during the 1900s, such as going to an air show and riding through town. After, the Omnimover vehicles moved guests through tunnels while different videos and pictures were played on the screens. Some of these images including rafting, crop dusting, and a snowmobile trail. These tunnels led to the finale of the ride, where a futuristic city named City Core was showcased. Right before the ride ended, the Omnimovers were simulated to be a car of the future. World of Motion was open from 1982 to 1996. By 1992, the second sponsorship deal for the ride with GM had ended, and during that time, business with GM had slumped. Because of this, GM started signing only one-year deals for the ride. An idea to close the attraction for a new, more thrilling ride that focused more on cars rather than transportation interested Disney and GM executives, and it was announced in November of 1995 that Disney was to close World of Motion to make way for a new attraction. World of Motion entertained guests for 14 years. Although the ride is now gone, remnants of the attraction can still be seen in various spots around Test Track. Those who did not experience World of Motion might see its closing as an unimportant event, but for those who did, it has left a lasting impact. Many people still hold fond memories of the ride and miss the feeling it gave them every time they experienced it. Although the ride that ended up replacing World of Motion is now a staple at Disney's Epcot, many people will always remember it's fun to be free.